Okay, everybody, I have something a little bit different for you guys today. I know a lot of you who follow me and follow Arrowhead Live and Mahomes Season and Chiefs Take probably know I do a lot of film review, but today I thought that I would sit down and take a look that now that we're past the draft and past the crucial points of free agency, let's sit down and take a look at what a potential 55-man roster makeup could be for the Chiefs. But before we get into that, make sure you are following all of those accounts on the screen for the best Chiefs content that you can possibly find anywhere in all of the kingdom. Okay, everybody, so starting out, we are going to start with the quarterbacks, and I do predict that three quarterbacks will make the roster, and right now the Chiefs made it easy on me. They do have three quarterbacks on the roster. There is no question that Patrick Mahomes will be the starting quarterback. He probably will end up being the best quarterback in the league again, but then it gets interesting. They decided not to re-sign Matt Moore, so Chad Henne's taking over, and they just recently, this week, released Kyle Schumer, so that means that Jordan Ta'amu from the XFL is now in position to be the Chiefs' third quarterback as it stands right now. Moving on to running backs and fullbacks, this is a really interesting position group, and I think that this is one where we're going to see a lot of competition in camp. But starting out, obviously, the draft pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Damian Williams, the Super Bowl hero, they're going to be the guys who I say are definitely safe to be able to make the roster. But then we start to get interesting because in the Chiefs running back room currently right now, they have Darwin Thompson, Darrell Williams, and DeAndre Washington, along with Elijah McGuire and Mike Webb. But I don't really see McGuire and Weber really being able to make an impact to be able to make the 55-man roster. But I think since Thompson is a younger player, he's going to be able to stick around for a little bit, and they're not going to give up on him yet. And as Darrell Williams has proved over the last few seasons, he is reliable as a pass blocker, and Andy Reid does trust him in big situations. Oh yeah, and sometimes when you got to seal the Super Bowl on a lead ISO play, it helps to have a really badass fullback, and Anthony Sherman is back in Kansas City, folks. So tight ends are going to be somewhat of an interesting position this year, I think, for the Chiefs. Obviously, you have the All-Pro, Pro Bowler, and now Super Bowl champion Travis Kelce, probably the best tight end in the NFL, at least receiving-wise. And we saw his backup, Blake Bell, depart in free agency, but Dion Yelder has been on this ball club for the last two seasons, and we even saw him a little bit more this last season in more of a blocking role of that third tight end. But I expect him to step up to be the tight end too. But don't discount Ricky Seals-Jones, who they picked up in free agency, who played for the Cleveland Browns this past season. He is not going to be a guy that they're going to leave in on these run blocking type situations, but I expect to see him down in the red zone. We might be able to see Andy Reid scheme up some plays for him because he's a big athletic receiving tight end. He has a great catch radius, and it could lead to some good mismatches down in the red zone. All right, now we're getting into the Legion of Zoom, and with Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson staying in Kansas City, because I know there was a lot of people that thought they would leave. With Watkins restructuring and Robinson re-signing a one-year deal, the entire Legion of Zoom is back. I think that Tyreek Hill, after he had a slow start, he really caught on quick in the middle of last season, and also he caught on big in the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. And I think we can also expect to see some major development from Mecole Hardman, as defenses are going to have to start respecting his speed and his game more. I expect Byron Pringle to have somewhat of an increased role just because of all these other targets, how much attention people are going to be paying to them, and I think Pringle also has good chemistry with Mahomes. And Jody Fortson, he is somebody who I will look that's going to be a kind of a bubble guy when it comes time, much like he was last year, but this year I expect him to make the roster. He's kind of, he doesn't really fit what the other receivers have. He's a little taller. He's a bigger body. He could be a guy more of an intermediate route type threat, and I think that kind of a change-up in the Chiefs' offense will be good to keep defenses honest. All right, and to close out the offense, we're going to head into the big boys up front, the offensive line, and really, this is going to be a place where there's going to be a lot of competition, and there's going to be a lot of war for competitions is basically what it's going to come down to. Some guys might lose their jobs, but we're going to see Mitchell Schwartz, Eric Fisher, the bookends. Mitchell Schwartz is best right tackle in the NFL, probably a top 5 tackle in general if you look at the way he played last season. Eric Fisher is in the top half of tackles in the league. And then we got big Lucas Nyang, the tackle of the future. I think that they're just going to sit him behind those two and let him learn from the best. And now it starts to get interesting because LDT he's restructured his contract so that there's a chance that he could be back the seasons after this, but this could also be his last year to potentially be in Kansas City, so he's going to want to try to earn his job. And he was outperformed a few times in the last year or so, but Andy Reid has shown trust in him in the past, so he's obviously showing that same trust by bringing him back once more. And then we got Austin Ryder, and he kind of plays inconsistent, but I think what a lot of people got to remember was last year was his first year ever being a full-time starter. We'd seen him sprinkled in 2018, but last year was his first year, and I actually thought from the beginning of the season till the end, he actually really improved his play. And then we got Mike Remmers, who they brought in. He's going to be like the swing guy, kind of like a Cam Irving was to the team last year. He's going to have the ability to play guard and both tackles if an injury were to happen. He could also be a guy who is competing for one of the starting guard spots, because really I think that both guard spots are up for grabs, and that also brings me into Andrew Wiley and Martinez Rankin. Wiley had a really solid 2018 year, and he kind of took a step back, which I think it had to do with the fact that he was injured early in last season. He had that ankle injury, I believe it was against the Colts, that knocked him out for a few games, and he never really managed to be able to come back from that. And I think it really hampered his play because he didn't quite look the same out there. And then Martinez Rankin, he was actually playing good football till he tore his ACL versus Tennessee in Week 10. That was obviously a big blow to the team because at that point people were talking about him maybe being a starter for the long-term future. But hopefully both of those guys are able to come back healthy. And we got Nick Allegretti also. I think he'll be in competition with undrafted rookie free agent Darrell Williams in training camp. But I think that having that year of experience, Allegretti will be able to he's going to be able to pull away, I think, because there's a reason why he played guard at University of Illinois, and he's able to transition to center or learn that position in the NFL as we saw in the preseason last year. He's got a very high football IQ, and he plays the game the way it's supposed to be played.